Well, since I just completed my priority number 1 yesterday, today I've decided to give myself the day off. I'm not sure if I deserve it, but I'm giving myself the day off. Well, the wind's starting to pick up a bit right now, but it is pretty much t-shirt weather if you work hard enough. I've got a trailer of mulch to unload because I need my trailer for a couple other things. You saw, or you might have saw the bees. Some of them are active. That's exciting. I've still got a ton of my fall cleanup to do in the garden too. At some point I got to get to it, but I've just been working so hard on the priorities lately because they're my priorities and that's the way to do it. So while I unload this trailer, I am gonna snip back some things in the garden, clean up a bed or two, and maybe even top dress them with a little bit of this wood mulch. I'm not sure. Sometimes I do that, sometimes I don't. But it's about all I have available right now for top dressing my garden, so might do that. And I also gotta get some more fig cuttings for some more Etsy orders. The seeds I keep in the house, but the figs are still out here doing well and they're dormant. Somebody orders them, I just snip some off and send them out. So those are pretty popular in our Etsy shop, which is encouraging. One thing that I like to do in my garden is intentionally plant some stuff that's gonna spread in areas I can't or shouldn't let it spread. One example would be these thornless blackberries I got from Shalom Acres originally. They're growing like crazy, and when they touch the ground, they actually form a whole root cluster. I'm gonna snip this one off and give you a look at this. Yeah. So down here you have where this thornless blackberry hit the dirt, and you can see all those wonderful healthy roots everywhere. What that does by planting in areas like this is it forces me to propagate these plants. It forces me to make more. If I plant them somewhere else, they just kind of spread, turn into a crazy thicket, other things. But if it's forcing me to make more, then I'll have more available to bless others with, maybe to do some bartering, some trading, also to put in new places, stuff like that. So I've got a rootstock of a wild plum that suckers like crazy. It's going everywhere. I'm gonna have to get that out of there. It moves these up on my priority list, propagating stuff like this, when it starts taking over the garden. So I got a couple of these I'm gonna pot up today, then I'm just gonna stick them over by my little nursery area where I'll just cover them in some of that mulch from the trailer there. And then number 1, I can mulch the area this was. Number 2, I can add more mulch to the area where it's gonna be, and it just helps me lighten that load too. This here is another example. This entire walkway around me is covered with little clary sage seedlings. These clary sage seedlings came from 2 parent plants that were right behind me. I just let the seeds fall. They spread across my entire path, and now I have a bunch of these that I can pot up and then remulch this area. Clary sage is an herb. A lot of people do like to have, so I know some folks who are into that sort of stuff that I'll be able to pass some on to, because they're kind of just growing wild at the moment here in my garden. So just by putting forth that effort there, I've got a whole seedling to transplant, to move, barter with, sell, again, any of that. So I'm gonna see how these guys are doing. And again, I'm gonna put these over by my nursery section where I just set these on the ground and then cover them up to the top of the soil level in these pots with mulch so they can survive the winter. Down in the ground, their roots are protected. If the entire root freezes all the way through, a lot of different plants will die. I don't know if it'll happen to these, but we're gonna make sure, otherwise I lose all this. If you're not familiar with clary sage too, I figured I'd mention it. These plants, from my experience, I would say they can get at least about 4 or 5 feet tall and spread almost as wide. So again, this would choke out my entire walkway. I actually filled a 5-gallon bucket with some seedlings. I have another area a little more open I can grow some extra ones in. I'm not going to pot up all these right now. I have others I can pot up later for other people, but just wanted to mention that and show this. And also, if you've watched my channel for a while, you know I try to live simply, connected, wisely. All the mulch that I'm putting down on my paths in a couple years breaks down into some pretty wonderful soil. It's fall, so there's some leaves and other organic material mixed in here, but this is much better of a growing medium than the rock and clay that actually covers this property. So before I remulch this, I think I'm actually going to just scrape it with my shovel, take that top layer off, add it to my raised beds, and then fill in the blank, fill in the spot I made with the wood mulch. Over time, since I build out a rock, my raised beds, I can continue to add more and more, have them get deeper and deeper, and just continue to add rich soil to the top and continue to mulch the paths for now. The cool thing for us is that we get the mulch for free, so that definitely helps. Whenever I run to town, it's an opportunity for me to pick up some more mulch. So a lot of times I make sure to take the trailer with me, and I would have done it, I think, yesterday too, except for my trailer was already full. So I got to get that emptied to take advantage of that situation. I'm gonna clear this area quick and remulch it. So if you look at it now, this nice mulch path looks really good, and eventually I'll pull the rocks out, add a layer of mulch underneath them, and then put them back higher is what I've been doing so far. But after a nice rain, you know, these rocks here will be washed off, and boy, we just got 4 to 6 inches of growing medium added to that bed. There is some perennials in there, clary sage right there, white horehound, elephant garlic, some chives. I'm not sure if any of the basil or tomatoes reseeded themselves. Most likely, yes, that often happens. And as you can see, this stuff here is just thick. So we'll see. I may end up composting some of them, but there's definitely a lot of clary sage seedlings growing here in my path. I got some other easier areas to take care of, because on this day off I'm just trying to empty that trailer and get it ready for a couple other things. So I'll hit some of those easier areas and then move on. And because I'm so close and it's so narrow, I'm just using the pitchfork. Otherwise I do use 5-gallon buckets or the gorilla cart, but not here, not now, not for this. I almost forgot I needed some fig cuttings for those orders. And this is just the way I like to do it to keep them as fresh as possible. I'll cut them usually the day I ship them, night before usually at the earliest, get them packaged up and mail them out. That way in a couple days people can have them, and I'll show you just how easy it is to propagate them too. Sometimes I'll do this if I can too. Grab some with some roots on them. Just seems like that'd be better for people trying to root them. If they already have some roots, makes it even easier. I think I got 3 to ship out, so. And with the figs too, for a while I was trying to sell 2 cuttings for $5. And what I realized is I was spending $4 in shipping, plus packaging, time and effort and whatever. So I thought, okay, we got to move that up. So right now we offer 3 cuttings for $7.50, free shipping, but I usually throw in about 4 or 5 just to make sure whoever's ordering them, first of all, gets a surprise blessing, but also that they got those extra attempts, because not every propagation attempt works. But yeah, somebody's gonna have an easy job with the roots there. This is what I need. Here's a peek at what that looks like too. So we got 5 extra thornless blackberries and a small pile of clary sage there. Behind that we've got some bush cherries and some horseradish. And if you see that green thing center screen, there's still a ton of extra Korean goji berries propagated right there. So pretty cool. So I had to sneak past a sleeping baby to show you this, but normally when I send someone a fig cutting too, the nodes, the little bumpy parts, are where roots and leaves and branches and stuff fruit can come from. So this one here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You need at least 1 node below the surface usually, and 1 above the surface to be able to to propagate. The one below the surface grows roots, the one above shoots up the foliage. So I like to send ones out the minimum probably of 3 so they can stick 2 nodes beneath and keep 1 above. That's kind of the way people usually do it. If you do have a node right at the surface level, it is possible from just 1 node to have roots go down and a top come up. You could just have a tiny little section, you know, of it, and it could work. So what I've got here is a number of things, same type stuff. I have figs, elderberries, mulberries. They all do a pretty good job about the same way. But what I wind up with sometimes when I'm making these cuttings is I wind up with the 2 noders, where there's 1 node here. I'll try to hold it. Yeah, you can kind of see it. 1 node right there and 1 node right there. So just for fun, I'll take those sometimes and stick them in a little pot, see what happens. This here is one such pot, and if you can see, this one got a green guy sprouting, this one's got a green guy sprouting, this one's got a green guy sprouting. This last skinny one still doesn't, but I would have just taken these little 2 node fig cuttings, sticking them down in some moist soil, 1 node below, 1 node above. What I'm able to do is just print more figs like that. And 75% at least on the nodes above the soil waking up. The node above the soil waking up can be a good indicator that the node below the soil is also waking up. It's no guarantee, but it can be a good indicator. One thing that's nice about cuttings too is if you just have that node that starts off with no growth, there's not a lot of stuff to support. If I had a whole big bushy tree and I cut that off and shoved it underneath there with no roots, all those, you know, leaves and stuff would start to die, the branches would start to die back because there's so much to support that a, you know, rootless tree just wouldn't be able to do. So that's one reason I like cuttings like this, and I thought I'd just show you how easy that is. So I'm gonna get these packaged up to mail out. So I had some other planting to do because somebody gave me some surprise lily bulbs. They thought Mama Pepper would enjoy those, so I'm gonna get those planted in a second. But first, Pinky Pepper and I are heading up on the roof. Although it's my day off of working on my priorities, apparently there was one priority, my top priority, I didn't finish yet. We're gonna add an extra section on. So can you open that up? How's it look?
Nice.
Pretty good. We're gonna carry that up there and we're gonna add it on, okay?
Okay.
And I meant, do you understand? I didn't mean to say, okay, I'm not asking my child permission to do this. So there we go. See that? We're going taller. Let's add that on.
What does that mean?
Not the right one. It's too small.
Why in the world is she whining so much?
Different size and shape. Different size and shape. Different manufacturer. This one's a little thin. So I'll have to get one of these ones as opposed to what I had. Put her in. So, in other news, this is pretty nice. Getting this in. Since we started it, it's still going. And kind of exciting. I'm going to keep the propane furnace on so that way if this dies out in the middle of the night on a cold night and the temperatures drop far enough, that'll kick in as a backup so that we don't have to get out of bed and stoke the fire. But I bet sure I'll be kind of keeping a pretty good eye on this thing no matter what. It's got a pretty good draw. It's all heading up there. If I open the door, you know, the smoke isn't even rolling out. I can see it billowing right inside the door, but it's not even rolling out. And we have waited a long time for this. I definitely wanted this done last year, but I thank all of you guys who gave encouragement and kind of came along on the journey of this whole thing. I wanted to do it right, and I'm very happy and pleased with the entire look of this. I'll back this up a second and let you take a peek too. You know, one cool thing that happened today on my day off, look what I found. Whoa, it's still kind of quick, I'll show you. This is a little brown skink. So really cool little lizard, short little legs. Whoa! Fell on a nice pile of leaves, but short little legs, so it almost looks snake-like. But these guys are so cool, and we can pretty much find lizards and snakes almost every month out of the year. They don't really go into too deep of a hibernation, and on nicer days you can find them. This one I actually just flipped a rock and happened upon it. So just kind of cool, you know, being an animal lover and having some property, you know, covered in lizards is just really cool, really special. But I found something else, and that's what I want to show you. Oh, look at this! Yes, it was warm enough for armadillos to come out. 9-banded armadillos, pretty crazy. They're one of 4 creatures that can carry leprosy, including humans, chimpanzees, sloths, and then armadillos. It's a little stinky. Sometimes when you catch them, they poop and they pee. It looks like she is about to pee. Gotta be careful. But yeah, armadillos are crazy. They're around here. They will do a number on your lawn or out in your woods or in your garden. They'll root through all sorts of stuff trying to you know, pick things up. I think she's shivering a little bit right now. I'll get her back to the wild here in a minute, but crazy creatures. And actually on warm days in the winter, you can actually see them out during the day and they'll come root around, but normally they're going to be more of a nocturnal creature. And look at how her head fits perfectly between kind of that opening in her plate. Armadillo means a little armored one, and pretty crazy. Underneath they look very similar to a snapping turtle in some ways. But then also they're known for curling up in a ball. You can almost see that right now, kind of like a accordion on that shell. She's obviously had a little bit of roughness in her life. You can see she's got some battle wounds from who knows what, but a hefty little one. This is a little mama, well, big mama, but it is a female, and kind of crazy to see. So don't always get to see these because I'm not always out in the woods at night, but saw this one, thought I would just grab it quick and show you guys and then return it to the wild. Well, this is exciting. Armadillo, lizard was exciting. Of course there was work to be done, there always is. So even though I had a day off, it was a day off of my priorities to celebrate my success in this one here, which is very exciting. And tomorrow, I guess I'll be back on. I won't take the day off, and I will see what I can get done on that root cellar / storm shelter and continue building the whatchamacallit? Yeah, the stairwell, and we'll move up from there. Thanks for joining once again. I'll see you next time. Papa out.